Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate and today I am doing the breakfast book tag. I saw Connor from Connor's library do this, so I have the questions pulled up and here we go. Alright, question number 1. Coffee, not hot but not scalding. A book that got a little steamy but not too much. For this one's going to pop up quite a few times. It's Eleanor and Grey. This one didn't get super steamy, but there's a couple sex scenes in there. It's pretty good. I love that book a lot. But yeah, this book is about Eleanor and Grey, who were high school sweethearts, and then they kind of went separate ways after a tragedy in Eleanor's life, and then they brought back together because of tragedy in Grey's life. So, yeah, that's what that's about. It's very good. Highly recommend. It's not Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. This one's by Brittany Cho. I think that's who wrote Eleanor and Grey. Two very different books. Number 2, Bagel So Good You Can Forgive the Plot Holes. I'm going to say And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie because I'm still confused by the ending. The ending itself of like how things wrapped up kind of confused me, but I still love this novel. I think it's a great novel. I think it's one of the best. It's her best mystery novel, and I was very disappointed after having read that and it being one of my all-time favorite novels, to read Murder on the Orient Express and it just not be clever. It's just not as good. I said it. Alright. Cereal, best consumed quickly. I'm going to say the Lost Coast Harbor series. I've read the first book and I really, really enjoyed it. I think a lot of romance series like that are best if you keep going fairly quickly, because you tend to kind of forget. Like, they'll be about different people, so you kind of tend to forget like what they've done, like the separate characters. So I think romance novels like that are best if you just like keep going at a fairly quick rate. Okay, toast. Something that got a little dark. I'm going to say House of Hades by Rick Riordan. So Rick Riordan mainly writes middle grade, and Heroes of Olympus, you could really argue, is more. It's technically, if we're going by age range, it's a young adult series. Surprise! All the characters are from. Percy was 16 when Percy Jackson ended. The series Percy Jackson ended. They're all about the same age. So they're right around like 16, 17 years old and going into like 20 years old by the time the series ends. So this is a young adult series and he definitely made it darker. House of Hades is the darkest book I think Rick Riordan has written. I haven't read Trials of Apollo or finished the Magnus Chase series, but House of Hades got dark, and it got dark real quick because spoilers, guys, Percy and Annabeth ended up in Tartarus, in hell. They're in hell for the entirety of the book. And you're like, Caitlin, Greek mythology doesn't have a hell. If it had a hell, it's Tartarus. Tartarus is literally the worst place they could possibly be. And, like, Luke didn't even end up there. Spoilers all around for Percy Jackson, Heroes of Olympus, all of it, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. So, next one is Oatmeal, a book that makes you feel nice and warm. I'm going to say Eleanor and Grey again because it's just heartwarming. I love it. It's a cute little story. Love it so much. Juice. Pick your favorite flavor and pick a book based on the color of that juice. My favorite flavor of juice is grape, actually. Grape juice. So I chose Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This has a lot of purple on it. Lots and lots of purple on it. This book is about Spencer, who is a girl in a world where humans are fighting this race of aliens who keep attacking them. She wants to become a pilot, but she can't because her father did something terrible, and this is her fight to become a pilot. I love it so much. 5 stars. This was like one of the first books I read this year. I loved it so much. 5 stars. Very good book. Alright. Next question is egg/tofu scramble. Different ways to eat them as to live. Name a memoir. So I chose a memoir that I own. I don't know if it's technically a memoir, but it's Diary of a Young Girl by technically Anne Frank, but it's compiled by her father, Otto Frank. This is the edition that holds nothing back. Literally. It's there's unpublished material in it, and you can tell that the parts that weren't previously published. I haven't read this in a long time, but I did enjoy reading it for the most part. It's a really sad story, what happened to Anne Frank. So this is the one that I own that I have read. I have maybe one other memoir. I don't read a lot of nonfiction. But if I was to read another nonfiction, I'd like to read Toni Morrison's her book that she wrote with essays and speeches and all of that. I would love to read it. I love Toni Morrison a lot. Toni Morrison's also on here, FYI. Okay. Fancy pastries. Jonna, you don't read all that often, but love when you do. Thrillers. I don't read a ton of thrillers. I tend to find the best thrillers and read them, except for Here to Stay by Mark Edwards. Yeesh. I didn't like it. I think it was the fact I don't know. But I've read things like Big Little Lies. I've read Never Have I Ever. Both really, really good books in my personal opinion. So, enjoyed them both. Alright, next one. Next question is Mimosa. We are getting to brunch territory. So, name a book you're looking forward to. For this one, I chose Moriarty by Anthony Horowitz. I don't know what this one's about. Other than what's on the back. It says, does anyone really believe what happened at the Reichenbach Falls? A great many accounts have been written, but it seems to me that all of them left something to be desired, which is to say, the truth. I am so excited to read this because I love Sherlock Holmes, and I love to see what this is going to bring to the table in the lore of Sherlock Holmes. So Moriarty's like one of my top villains of all time. So I'm very excited to see what Anthony Horowitz brings to the table. So, and then the last one, it is Breakfast for Dinner. Tell us something you love to have for breakfast and pick a book to tell us about. I love anything with potatoes. I'm a big potato person. So hash browns, or for Christmas we make hash brown casserole, which is just like hash browns, sour cream, cheese, and like diced onions or onion powder to go in it. I love it very much. I'm choosing to talk about A Mercy. A Mercy? I don't know if you can tell. By Toni Morrison. This is short, but this is one of her historical novels, her historical fiction with a touch. I think this one. No, the other one. A lot of her historical fiction novels have a touch of magical realism in it. This one I don't think has really much of any. historical or magical realism, but this is definitely a historical fiction novel. This is about a girl. This is about Florence. Florence, who is a girl who is a slave in the time before the Civil War. Her mother has given her over to, or convinced the slave owner that owns her to convince another slave owner, to take her away from where she was currently living. But her younger brother stays with her mom. And so she holds a lot of grudge against her mother the entire time in this book. And it's kind of the story about her and motherhood and being a daughter and what it means to be a woman, a black woman, during this time. I loved it. And just like the hard things that black women specifically had to go through during this time, hard decisions that they had to make. I loved it so much. I love Toni Morrison a whole lot. So I highly recommend, if you don't like historical fiction, and it's mainly because you read historical romance, I highly recommend Toni Morrison, because she is a black woman, so representation, great representation. She has a lot of novels. They're all pretty much award-winning novels, so these are going to become classics at some point. So I highly recommend you read these books. Rest in peace, Toni Morrison, who passed away a year or two ago. Amazing woman. She's just beyond, like, she's going to be a great American author. And if she's not already considered a great American author, that is terrible, because she should be. She is so good. Her writing is just so good. It's hard to read, but I think her novels are very important to read. They're kind of books that we need as this American society to read, and I love them so much. I've read Beloved by her, and that one's equally as hard as to read. That one's also about motherhood, but in a very, very, if you take Florence's mother and the lady, I am forgetting, Sugar, no. Sugar's a name in the book, but I don't think that's who the main character is. And you take the main character from Beloved, and do a comparison of what this means to be a mother in that time, and what it means to be a mother for that woman in Beloved. It's crazy. It's just two different stories, but it's two different stories during the same time period. And you can make very good arguments for both stories as to what they chose to do. Hard decisions. Both of them made hard decisions, and it's a hard read. They're hard reads, but they're important to read. My personal opinion. Alright, I plan on reading more of Toni Morrison. I really want to read her short story, her speeches and essays and stuff. I would love to just hear Toni Morrison talk. Basically. Anyways, so that has been the breakfast book tag. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next